Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Old Line Cryptid Show. I'm Blackie. We got Jeffro over here and our friends down at the Paranormal Appalachia Research Team. I didn't get your guys' names. I apologize.
Joel and Elizabeth.
Okay, Joel and Elizabeth. So, yeah, so here we are. Jerry will be here a little late tonight. He a little sore, had some stuff. His wife works overtime, or works 12 hours now, so he'll come in a little bit later. But yeah, so let's Jeff, how you been, brother? Sorry, you're right in the middle of a drink.
Been a busy week as usual. Tomorrow the hoof care specialist is coming, so we will be trimming a bunch of cows' hooves.
All right.
Which means I get to run them through the chute most of the day, so that will be entertaining.
That sounds fun. I don't get to do that. We don't have cows, so we have cats. We have to, trim their nails. That's about as good as we get here.
I'm sure that their trimming doesn't require a DeWalt grinder with a chipping wheel. So,
well, no, but they will try to scratch your face off at times. So, yeah. So anyway, everybody in chat, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Patrick, River. Wow, who all do we have? Don, of course, Brother Spikes. And everybody else, good to see you. Glad you're here. So, Jeff, you want to start it off tonight? You want to get it going here with them? You know a little more about.
I guess I can do that.
Sure.
I started talking to them. When was it? A couple of weeks ago. How long has it been, Joel?
Maybe about a month or so.
Yeah, because I'd seen the. I think it was first time I saw you guys, I think was the Northeast video. And I was like, yep. I definitely need to get a hold of them. And then they put out the Green Ridge one, and I'm like, yep, I'm going to have to call them. And
yeah, that's when we really started chatting, is when I was releasing that video.
Yeah, because I've been trying to find somebody. Jerry's like, we got to find somebody that's doing stuff in Maryland, which we never seem to be able to find. So that was pretty much how you guys came about. And now we're going to get to hear what you guys have been up to.
Yeah. Tell us how you guys got into this.
About a year ago, it's kind of when we started making it sort of official. I think it's almost been about a year since we filmed our first episode, our pilot, so to speak. I've always been interested in everything paranormal and supernatural. Bigfoot's been a big favorite of mine, that whole subject, ever since I was younger. But yeah, in the last couple of years, I've really kind of taken it more seriously and gotten just kind of sucked into the rabbit hole, so to speak. And I'm dragging Elizabeth on with me. She's more into UFOs and aliens and that side of things. I mean, each of us in our group, Eric isn't here tonight, but he's sort of our specialist when it comes to paranormal type stuff and spirits and ghosts. And that's his specialty. Her specialty is more in the UFO stuff, and mine is more in the Bigfoot stuff. But we all are just have shared interest of the strange and the weird. So decided to make it official as a group. It's something I felt, just in myself that I wanted to do, and having a creative outlet too, to make these videos and have an excuse to get out there and, do stuff other than hiking, which is something I like to do anyway. But figure, might as well do some research while we're at it and add to this community. So
that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. It's really neat. I didn't know anything about you guys, so I started looking you up before the show. I'm going to have to go back and watch your episodes, because I am totally in. I got into this about 2 years ago, going to a conference, and I've always been in, like you, I was always into Bigfoot and UFOs and stuff like that. And I went to my first conference and met a couple of guys there, and they were really they talked to me about it, and my wife and I ended up going to a meet and greet and got to meet all the people and hear all the different experiences these people had. And, I can say, I still I've had fingerprints on a window. That's my cryptid experience right there.
That's a pretty good one.
They were odd fingerprints. They definitely weren't. I can say by the size of the fingerprints, they definitely weren't human unless it was a monster human. Anyway, but that's what got me into it. And like you, it's kind of I'm going down a rabbit hole now. So that's really neat to hear somebody. And then, like I said, going through your bio on your page and all the stuff you guys are into, I think that's really neat. You kind of cover the whole gambit of the paranormal cryptid thing.
Yeah.
That's really neat. How did you guys? Were you all friends? I'm assuming you guys are probably. Are we all friends or?
Well, me and Elizabeth are engaged, so
okay, that's cool. Okay,
more than friends.
Okay.
Yeah, and our other teammate Eric, he's a close friend of ours as well. So yeah, it just kind of became a natural sort of interest between all of us. I was the one who kind of really started saying like, "Hey guys, like I want to start go and do this stuff, but it's also something I don't want to do like solo. It's not safe."
Yeah.
So can I convince a couple of you to come along?
It didn't take much for him to convince me. So.
Yeah, I mean she's always got my back.
Yes.
So
that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's
and
something
actually
you have
like
to worry
you.
about. Go ahead.
Yeah, like you actually also, what kind of really kicked off us as a group was I had it as a seed in my mind, but we went to, I mentioned it before the show started, we went to the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Adventure in Pennsylvania, and that's hosted by Eric Altman. That was last year's, we went this year as well, but last year's our first foray into going to conferences and events, and yeah, we had a great experience there and just met so many great people in the community, met a lot of great, just strangers with stories. And as I, talked to these guys about like, hey, like I'm thinking of starting my own group, got a lot of like support for that and a lot of, yeah, go and do that. And my goal was by the time we returned the next year that I would come back and say like, hey, I did it, here's my business card, here's our shirt and everything. So, yeah, that's kind of how it all really kicked off.
Yeah, that's awesome because my wife and I started ours this year, and it's really something that I've probably wanted to do the past 5 or 10 years, was start some kind of YouTube page about the crazy things that I'm into, and so it was really like it's like a relief that you're doing it now, and what you guys do in the whole cryptid community, UFO communities, you meet so many people, and from there it just grows and grows. You meet more and more, and that's what I've really enjoyed. So I can imagine, you guys forming a team is even cooler. It's just my wife and I. Luckily, she's just as demented as I am and likes a lot of the same things I like. So so that really helps a lot, because I can't imagine two people, one person being totally into the UFOs, cryptids, and that stuff, and the other person being like, that's not real. That would really throw a wrench into everything.
It's funny is a lot of people, a lot of researchers in these communities are kind of siloed and segregated in ways where it's funny. They'll be like, oh yeah, I totally believe in, a 7 to 9 foot tall creature that walks through the woods, but ghosts aren't real though, or vice versa. And it's just like, what that was. Sorry, I said that, and then we're getting like noises behind us that are just, I'm like, what is that? Anyway, yeah, so it's sort of something I've come to realize in myself, my own belief, but others as well, that all this stuff is sort of connected. The more that you dig into the rabbit holes, the more that you tend to find those connections. Absolutely. I think a lot of people ignore the connections and, don't put the 2 and 2 together. But to me, that's like completely dismissing, it's not doing you any good, because they do say you shouldn't solve a mystery for a mystery, but maybe sometimes you have to, because maybe they are all connected. And, one thing that's happening may help explain something else that's happening, or you come to think it's something else. Like I actually had this happen, an interesting interaction between me and Eric, like last night or the other night. We had someone contact us about an experience they're having. This is like a fresh case that kind of opened up for us, but so I won't go into great detail. But they're having something happen at their property, and I asked them a couple of questions, And basically it can go in two directions. It sounds like it could be Bigfoot, or it sounds like it could be supernatural or paranormal of some nature, or something else, basically. And he was under the impression, he's like, oh, this is definitely, this. And I'm like, well, everything she said, though, doesn't rule out Bigfoot either. So, like, bottom line, we need more data. But it's interesting, like how you can have that mindset of like, if you only believe one thing, that's all you're going to see. But when you believe all of it and you're open to all of it, that really helps you get to the truth to the matter. And that's sort of a big thing for us, is we're just trying to find the truth in the world.
What made you form this little group and start doing this? I mean, what made you want to make a podcast out of this? And did you have any have you had any experiences in, say, the cryptid world, or any of the worlds, more or less? I mean, not everybody's seen a ghost, not everybody's at hauntings, UFOs. What made you really want to focus on doing this? Did you have an experience?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you get down to it, the biggest thing is, like, I'm just adventurous at heart. I love a good mystery. I'm always into trying to understand things, and it took me a while to kind of like fully like get into Bigfoot. At first, I was kind of like under the impression like, no, people are just misidentifying or whatever. But I'm also like someone who will give it a fair chance. I'm not going to just dismiss it because I don't know anything about it. If I don't know anything about it, I really don't have a place to say, to give an opinion. So I started kind of just digging into it. I was always fond of it, watching TV shows like Monster Quest and stuff. But when I really started digging into it and seeing videos and seeing evidence and listening to stories and all of that comes with that, I kind of came to the conclusion that, well, it would be silly of me to not believe it at this point. Like, there's no way that all this is happening and all these people are secretly, in on something that no one's whistleblowing about.
Big conspiracy.
So, yeah. So that's kind of, for me, it's really just, I wanted to put my my stamp on, like, my impression on the community, because I'm someone who just needs a creative outlet. I always need things to do and I need things to learn. And these things are the biggest things to learn, like the big questions about, what's around us, and, that knowledge that's hidden from us, from the public, is stuff I'm really interested in. So that's it personally for me. I don't know, Elizabeth, what kind of...
Yes, for me, I had a personal experience when I was younger. Experienced some weird lights in my neighbor's house, and it's just weird things happening, and they weren't home. And to this day, I don't know what it was. I saw it, nobody else saw it, and so it was just something very weird and unexplained, and couldn't take my eyes off of it. And ever since, I've believed in weird things like aliens, UFOs, all that, ghosts and stuff, since I was able to walk or something like that. I really just had a feeling that we aren't alone. There are things out there. And
to clarify a little bit about, she's told this story. I've heard her tell the story a lot. And essentially what the situation was is, I think you went to just go get some fresh air or something at the window.
I was getting ready for bed.
Getting ready for bed at the bathroom window, and her neighbors who were away for vacation.
Their house was dark.
Their houses, they're in a cul-de-sac, so their houses are pretty close together. We're not talking countryside stuff here, but in a little cul-de-sac, so she could see right across and see their windows. And I think he said it looked like a disco ball going off in their house, and like different colors and
patterns, like Morse code,
like strobing and
different
flashes of color,
patterns, and then it would get dark, and then it would come back and do it again, just different.
But it was all silent. And then
I opened the window to, see if I hear, is somebody having a party or something? No, silent. And it was in the summertime, and even the bugs outside, the crickets and everything, it was completely silent, eerie silent.
Okay.
And then after that was done and quiet, then all of a sudden on the outside of their house was like this bright, perfectly round, huge spotlight beaming on the outside of their house.
Pure white. Right?
Pure white, right. The whitest light I've ever seen. and it was just perfectly round, huge on the outside of their house. I didn't see the source of the light, and there was no source. And it just did this a little bit, left, right, up, down, and then it vanished, and that was it.
There's no like helicopter.
No helicopters, nothing. No.
Was it like an orb style light?
It was huge. It was like it looked
Okay.
like a helicopter spotlight on their house, shining on their house. But there was no helicopter. No source of the light. It was just
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's really mysterious. Like I can't really pin it to one particular thing either. Like the closest thing you could say is it could be some sort of, I don't know, environmental paranormal thing, or is it aliens? I don't know. Like what's up with the spotlight on the side of the house? Like
right.
it's just like that's like the strangest part to me, is like, because that's like a light source, you know, shining onto it, and then you have this like tree that's like right in front of it. So if it was cast from somewhere else, it would have cast a shadow. But
Yeah.
So how recently was that?
Oh gosh, it was maybe 20 years ago.
Oh, okay. So we're
yeah, my first experience with anything in this area was when I was in high school, which is I don't know, how old am I now? It was like probably like 15 years ago, but or more.
It can't be that bad. I'm 36.
Well, I just turned 35, so there you go.
Okay, well, finally, we're finally the same age group somewhere.
Not this guy. Anyway, go ahead.
So I was just, you know, watching Ghost Adventures and stuff like that, and you know those kind of shows, and I was like, I want to go do my own thing, because I was still really curious about all that stuff. This is like pre Bigfoot, and I was still always into like ghosts shows. So me and my friends decided to go to an abandoned asylum in the area and, you know, check that out. And I brought an EMF detector, like one of those like real crappy, you know, $20, like the cheapest you can get basically. But, you know, had that and voice recorder, and we went there, and the place had a lot of history of being pretty messed up, and just a lot of abuse and stuff, and unmarked graves and stuff under the basement floors and things they found during construction and renovation. So just uncovered a lot of history. The place got shut down, I think, in the 90s. But anyway, there was a building we went to. Actually, a couple things happened there. The first thing that kind of like really like got me was we were in the main building and went to where the basement is, and that's where the morgue is at. And the morgue is actually kind of okay. Like it was strange, but not, you know, we didn't feel anything, like nothing happened. And then we started, you know, kind of poking around, and we found an elevator shaft, and I was just kind of like in there, like thinking that was cool. I was like, whoa, like there's no elevator in here anymore, but like you can see the elevator shaft, you know, going up multiple floors, and I've just never seen an elevator shaft, you know, so we're just standing in there, you know, and I'm sitting there still the whole time, you know, just been like the whole night I've had this EMF detector turned on, and it hasn't, you know, peeped or anything. And I'm standing there still, and suddenly EMF detector starts like going wild, like Morse code, you know, beep, 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 you know, starts going off crazy. And at that same moment, me and a friend I was with there, like felt the coldest bone chilling cold, like pass through our bodies, and like hair stood up, and I was like freezing from the inside out, you know, and they said chills to the bone. It's literal. Like you can feel it, like your bones are cold when that happens. You know, went from like front to back, like it passed through us. And we both react to it at the same time. We're like, did you just feel that?
You had something pass through you. That's what happened.
100%. Yeah. And then there was another building I went to, which when I walked up to, I don't know if it was an animal or something, but I heard a growl first of all. And I was like, what the heck was that? Just like a snarl. And I was like, I don't know what that's about, but I assumed at the time, like, you know, probably an animal or something. I just spooked it. We walk in, it's got the screen door that you have to like pull open and, you know, push the main door. I'll mention that because that comes up again. But it's just this big, long black corridor, you know, creepy looking halls you can imagine. No lights or windows or anything. And we go back down that hall, and while we're down there, we hear that front door slam shut on itself. And the thing is, because it has that spring door, like you have to pull it open. It's not a matter of the wind just blowing it open and slamming it shut. This is like someone like pulled it and then like went whoosh, and like let go, and it just slammed really hard. And either the same occasion or another occasion while we were downstairs in that building, we heard like the metal doors down the halls like opening and closing and stuff. And yeah, creepy place. But that's kind of what really cemented like, okay, so it's not just a reality TV show thing. Like stuff does happen that's unexplainable, and it just kind of further fueled my like passion for wanting to like understand it more.
Yeah, I bet. And that's, you know, you talk about that. Like I said, the only thing I have is fingerprints. My wife has had shadow people. So that's made us really wanting to get into that kind of stuff. And I've started not exploring, reading more and more and watching more paranormal shows just to see if the experiences that other people have had. And it's, you know, once you step, and I'm a big conspiracy guy. So once you step into the rabbit hole, you know, it'll take you everywhere, anywhere you want to go. It'll take you. And I believe, like you, that all of the stuff that you guys get into, it is all tied together. You know, you can look at it spiritually, or you can look at it dimensionally. You can look at it, you know, I always say electrically, you know, involving electric currents that run through our body and put
energetic,
us. Yeah. So, wow, cool. So, go ahead, Jeff.
I've unfortunately had all three: Bigfoot, UFO, and ghosts. So,
Wow.
still haven't had the full-on Bigfoot sighting, but I've had some looks at stuff that the one time I thought it was a damn ghost, but now that I look back into it years later, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But
Yeah. Well, I can.
I've had.
Oh, go ahead.
I've had vision. You know, all the odd. You hear all sorts of weird stuff out here. First experience I ever had, I got screamed at. But I know what it. Yeah.
Funny you mentioned that. Because I was going to share, like, we shared our individual experiences, but as a group, our first group experience, which wasn't documented because this is before I decided to get a camera and like record stuff. But
what happens to me, and I still got the equipment, and I forget to turn it on. So
yeah, and that's when it will happen. By the way, is when you're not ready and you're not filming or bother to film. Hey, Jerry. Yeah, so we're just about to share, you know, our experience as a group. Our first kind of like interesting thing that happened. I'll just preface with, I don't think this was Bigfoot for multiple reasons, but the scream you mentioned that reminded me of it. So we went out to Manassas Battlefield. The idea was to go for a night hike because I was really into, hey, let's get comfortable with the woods at night and, you know, do some night hike stuff and see how that goes. And let's do it at an area of high energy. You know, let's go to Manassas Battlefield, known to be haunted, and, you know, all that. You know, pretty much any Civil War battlefield you go around here is going to have energy to it. And that was closer to where Eric was at. So we all met up and met there before the sun went down and started walking back there. We went down this trail that was, you know, just goes through the woods. It's an old railroad grade. They never built the railroad, but you have these two lines running parallel that you can hike up one way, and then you come back and loop around back. Not a very long trail. It's like maybe 2 miles at most. But anyway, we started hiking back there, and everything was fine. And we brought our equipment to, you know, just in case. I got the melmeter and, you know, dowsing rods and things like that, you know, just in case you want to take a pause and have a session out there. Well, the first thing that spooked me was I spooked myself, but I'll mention it anyway because it might be relevant. We were walking down the trail. I have this. I'm like, let's go red light mode, so that way we don't, you know, ruin our night vision. I'm kind of big on using red light, and I'm shining it, and in the bushes, I see red eyes staring at me, and I'm like, oh God, red eyes! Like, what is that? And then I realized it's just a deer, but this deer was not fearful. Well, the deer, like, we like when we realized that, like, I kept walking, but like the deer just like was looking at us, like it was just staring us down, and like it's like, you know, just not something I'm used to deer at least skittering away and walking away. But he wasn't skittish. He was just kind of gave us a look and casually walked off. And I was like, well, that was weird. But
I'll do some weird
anyway,
stuff.
as it got darker, we just started getting more and more unsettled in the area. Just like we just felt like everything was kind of closing in on us. And part of that might have just been we're not really used to walking at night in the woods too much at that point. So it's a little bit of the natural fear, but it also felt like something else too. And as the sun was going down, actually, me and Elizabeth heard a gunshot go off from the battlefield, and it was like a single musket, you know, fire kind of shot. Didn't sound like a modern gun, and there shouldn't be anyone out there shooting anything because it's a national battlefield, it's a national park, so you can't hunt or anything out there. So we heard that, and I was like, well, that's interesting. And then kept hiking. Eventually, we turn around because we're just kind of noticing the trails meandering off, and you know, we're all just kind of feeling antsy. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's just start going back and head back. And as we're doing that, you know, Eric is, just for some context, he's gifted in the wave. He's sensitive to, you know, spirits and stuff, and can communicate very openly with them. Just like we're talking to each other, he can pretty much do that, you know, in his mind or out loud, and just talk to them much of the time. So we started hearing like little things off in the woods, and it sounded like metal kind of clinking noises, and just very subtle things that just made us like wonder, like, you know, what is that? You know, I almost thought it sounded like a group of guys, you know, having their like dinner and like with like old like, you know, metal plates and stuff, and kind of like scraping them, and just like things like that. I was like, what's that noise? So we started increasing our like awareness, and he starts saying, oh yeah, I've been talking to spirits this whole time, basically. You know, around here it's like I'm picking up on a lot of native spirits, Native American spirits, and there's this one in a white dress who's following us, and you know, they're kind of seeing us out. They want us to leave. And I was like, okay, well, we're on our way out. I start bringing out my millimeter just to document, you know, is there other stuff going on? And sure enough, I was getting random spikes on that, like EMF spikes. And I started kind of getting engrossed in my millimeter, you know, trying to debunk it. Because a big thing for me is like, you don't, when you get something, you just don't, unless it's obvious. Like if I see Bigfoot and record them on video, that's different.
Right.
But I don't jump to conclusions on like, oh, I got a spike, therefore it's a ghost. I try to debunk and say, is it my phone? Is it this? Is it you? Because I was like, I would touch her hand and let go, and then I get a spike of energy. Like it was like we're like creating and breaking energetic bonds. And I'm like, is that a thing that happens? Like, you know, hey, let me like touch your hand, let go, touch your hand, like see the numbers move. And I was just like trying to back up what he's saying. And then in that moment of just being so engrossed with like caught up on this, well, I first heard this owl in the tree, this owl that was this normal barred owl making its normal calls. And then we get caught off guard by this ungodly scream that was kind of a mix between a woman and an animal. But it was right on the other side of that railroad grade from the bushes, kind of where we saw that deer originally. And it was when someone's like yelling at you or directed your way.
It's a blood curdling scream.
Yeah, but the direction of that was like, it sounded like they were looking at us and screaming at us. It wasn't just like something going off in the woods in another direction. It was like, no, we're screaming at you. And it was just so startling because it sounded like a banshee scream. If I had to like put a name to it, I would say like, that's all I can imagine what a banshee sounds like. You know, when you look up like, what does a banshee sound like? It was like just a high pitched screech squeal that was going on for like a good, 5-10 seconds. And anyway, so it scared all of us, and Elizabeth and Eric immediately fly or fight kicked in and they started running. And I had to be the guy to be like, stop, like, hold on, like, whatever is trying to see us out or wants us to get hurt, and running in the dark woods, freaked out your mind is going to do that. You're going to trip and fall and hurt yourself. That's what they want.
If you can't see, you don't want to take off.
Right. So, and don't trigger any prey response either. When you run, there's certain things that will trigger prey response and they want to chase you.
It was that creepy that first thing Eric and I wanted.
Yeah, they didn't think about it. It was, we heard it, we all looked at each other, and then they just started running. And I was like, hold on, like, we'll leave. Like, I'm not going to stick around. Like, I want to get out of here too, but let's briskly walk out. Let's not run out. And then, so we a few minutes later, we're getting close to the parking lot. I actually have this part on video because I started rolling on video. At that point, I was like, of course I didn't get this recorded because I wasn't rolling on audio or video. But if it does it again, I want to get it. So I was recording my millimeter. So I have evidence of just what it was doing, bouncing between 2s and 3s and numbers like that. And then Eric has a moment where we're approaching the parking lot area and he says, yeah, they want us to leave and they're going to give you a sign. And he said, they're telling me that they're going to make it spike real bad when we hit the parking lot, just to kind of confirm that. And I said, okay, well, we'll see. And like, he says that. And then like 5 seconds later, we get to the parking lot and then I get a 16 spike on my millimeter, which is very abnormal because I was only getting like 2s and 3s. So it was like right then and there, like also confirmed to me, like it validated, everything he was saying and validated his abilities and stuff. Like I've believed him, obviously before, but it's different when you see the evidence, the scientific evidence of that happening. He said it's going to spike, and when we got there, it spiked. So I was like, hey, well, that's validated, buddy.
Yeah.
And then to add to things, we went to his place after. We didn't stop to do any ghost sessions because at that point we're like, yeah, we're already creeped out. Like, we're not going to open anything up here. Like, they want us out. Let's get out. Let's stick to that. But we get out, we go back to his place, and we decide, he has a tarot deck, and we can find that sometimes just to kind of get answers on things. And so I said, can I just go through your deck and pull a card? I have just one question, which is, what did we experience while we were out there? And if you're familiar with tarot, there's many different cards and suits and stuff, and different arcanas. So I go through blindly, just kind of feeling out, the cards. And then there's one card that I touched that just felt like electric. And I was like, that's the card there. Like, that's the one. Flip it over. And my question was, what did we experience when we were out there? And the card that flipped over was the devil.
Oh, wow.
So I saw that as like a pretty direct answer. Like, obviously the cards have meaning and the devil like has its own description of like what it means in tarot, but I think that was more of like a literal, like, you experienced something that was like evil, because that's kind of what we picked up on, is like whatever that screamed at us was not like a nice thing. It was a darker thing. And then she did the same thing. We put the cards back, reshuffled, and she's like, well, I want to try getting some cards. And she picked out 2 cards, and one of her cards was again the devil, and she had the same question. So it's like 2 times in a row, it like confirmed, like, yeah, that's what you experienced. And then because we're crazy and we're so amped up on adrenaline, we decided, hey, let's go on another night hike. And we go on another night hike out by his place, which is a different set of woods, and we felt fine. Like, still very dark, still pretty creepy, but we felt very comfortable in those woods. So it was something about the Manassas battlefield woods that were like, yeah, there's a different energy here, and it's foreboding.
Jeffrey, I know I've heard this story 1,000 times, but tell them your story about your buddy's visitor in his truck.
Oh yeah, the infamous Gettysburg
Yes.
ride along. So there's a guy that delivers hay in here for there's a farm up in Gettysburg called Getty Acres, and they actually bail the battlefields, and they're not allowed to do anything except cut it. They can, no-till drill it, once in a while to put some more seed in, but other than that, they can't disturb anything on it. So they were loading hay up one night, and they got everything stacked up, and he went back to the field to get his pickup, and he got in and started up and started to drive out of the field and looked over, and there was a Confederate cavalry officer sitting in the passenger seat of his Ford Excursion. In his, yeah.
Like very physical, like
yeah, he said you could count the buttons, you could see everything he had on him, like all of it. All the insignias, all the patches, everything down to the stitching.
So yeah, just I wanted him to tell you that because it shows you that those battlefields, there are, the people that don't believe in that stuff, fine and dandy. I know from experience, there are people that will just shut down. Like they won't believe you at all. It's just like a door in their head. There's a room back there that, nope, not going to believe. You're not going to put that in my head. They're not, and it's just interesting to hear of all the,
And he sat in that seat almost till they got back to the farm.
Wow.
And then he started, the further they got away from that field, he started to dissipate,
Yeah, his connection was starting to kind of break.
Like,
yeah.
What did you do? He's like, I just gave him a ride. I don't know what else to do.
Hitchhiking Confederate soldier. Yeah, he's tired of walking.
So they get back, and as soon as he got back to the farm, he calls one of his buddies that's a reenactor, and he goes, "Hey, was there a Confederate encampment on so-and-so road over there?" And he goes, "Give me a half an hour, I'll call you back." So he starts pulling out all of his maps and stuff. And he calls him back and he goes, "Yeah, why do you want to know that?" And he tells him, and he's like, "Yep, that was a cavalry officer from the Confederacy." Because he could describe everything that guy was wearing.
Did the guy try to talk? Like, did the
Confederate tried talking to him, but he didn't. He's like, "Hey, while he's driving down the road, and he's just sitting there. He didn't say anything."
Now,
I've heard of stories like that where
pretty wild.
Someone thinks it's a person.
Yeah, I saw the old owner that used to live at this farm. We bought this place from our neighbors years ago, and the old guy that lived here years ago that owned the farm. When we bought it, when his wife passed, and I actually have him on the security camera walking out of the old milking barn.
That's wild.
Like the previous guy,
previous owner, yeah. Yep.
Which one was that, Jeff? Was that Ford?
That was Charlie Glasgow.
Charlie. Oh, I know. I remember Charlie.
Yeah, that was Charlie. We bought this from after Martha died, and we always worked the ground with them growing up. My grandparents were all friends. So, I've heard stuff around here. I saw some sort of apparition, ball of energy, whatever you want to call it, come across the driveway one night while I was on the phone talking to one of our friends from Mississippi who's a Bigfoot researcher. And I'm like, it's 11:30 at night, and I just see this cloud that has like its own shape. And it just materializes and starts to move across the driveway. And I'm like, the hell is that? And I couldn't even talk for the next 7 minutes while I'm standing there trying to process what in the hell just floated in front of me. It was weird. It just had its own energy to it. And I'm like, I couldn't process it when I first seen it. It was just that strange.
Wow. Joel, Elizabeth, how often do you guys get out to do research?
Well, I mean, I work full time, so whenever I have, a chance in between things, so try to do as much as we can. But lately it's been kind of plan a trip at least. Try to aim for once a month to once every 2 months. It kind of just depends on, how things shake out. We have a lot kind of just going on personally. So that's been a challenge. That's maybe like one goal for us is, if we take off, if our group takes off and we can make this our job instead of, the normal office job kind of stuff, that would be an awesome
That'd
thing
be
to
awesome,
achieve.
wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we all wish we could
Because
do
I
that.
can really dedicate time into it,
Yeah.
But yeah, no strict schedule. We try to, get out there as much as we can. And, we do have, and that's another thing to have, like, our channel is, we want to be consistent with trying to get, videos out. So there's kind of a push for, hey, it's been a little while since we've put something out. Let's get something, let's go do something. And also we're just wait for opportunities to show up. Like, the video that's in the works right now that we just started kind of organizing on is our visit to Sutton, West Virginia. And we stayed out there for a few days with the goal to do a couple different things, like kind of make it like a extravaganza of research, because it's a great Bigfoot area. It's a great UFO area, of course. And we went there with to back up a bit, me and Elizabeth went out to the West Virginia Bigfoot Festival this year. Got to see Dr. Jeff Meldrum speak, so rest in peace. But it was great, meeting him, hearing him talk in person. But while we were headed out there, we stopped by the Flatwoods, and for those people not aware, Flatwoods is heavily tied to the Flatwoods Monster incident, which is one of the biggest UFO incidents in America, and has a whole, like, it's one of West Virginia's biggest cryptids. Is the Flatwoods Monster. Kind of puts them on the map. And not too far away, you also have like Point Pleasant and Mothman and stuff, and the whole area just has history of interesting, strange things. And anyway, we were talking with the lady at the shop there. We just liked her shop because she had a bunch of alien UFO merch outside, and we're like, we gotta stop there and see what they have inside. And then anyway, we got to talking to her, and I told her, we're a paranormal investigation group, and do all this kind of stuff, and we're here for the festival. And she was on the phone at the time, but she says, wait, like, I might need you guys. And we're like, okay, we'll wait. And when she's off the phone, she's like, I just bought this house over here, and I think it's haunted. She goes to show me these, like, this photo of a very obvious silhouette in the window. And it's like, when you see it, it's like, yeah, that's a person, like, no doubt. But her neighbors are calling her saying, I thought you kicked the people who lived there out, because there was some squatters and stuff when she got the place. And she did kick those people out. And she's like, yeah, there's no one there. And like, well, there's someone in your house right now. You got to go up there and check. And then she would go there, and she wouldn't see anybody in the house, but she took a photo of what she saw outside. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then talking about, every time that they try doing stuff at the house, things go missing or things break and machinery breaks, to the point where contractors were like, I'm not going to do work at your place. I'm sorry. Like, there's something wrong there. So I was like, well, this could be a great first big gig for us in terms of helping someone get to the bottom of a mystery and give them some answers maybe, and do some, great source of content and stuff. So we made the plans to go back out there a month later and meet up with her and do the house investigation. There's a short on our YouTube channel where I do a quick, like, we do a quick, like, 15-minute burst session of, like, just walking through the house and, dowsing rods and stuff. And there was like something I picked up on the dowsing rods, and we did get a spike on EMF and stuff. So even in that short time, I was like, okay, well, there's something going on here. So anyway, we made this big plan to come out to Sutton. And that's the video we're working on now, is the full investigation of that house. I don't want to spoil, like, the whole, like, everything that, we concluded in that investigation. But we did walk away, like, helping her and getting some answers, we think. But the whole other part of it is that whole trip from the get-go was sort of like we had warnings of, like, we did a tarot card reading, and one of the cards that came up is the Tower, which is sort of a card that's like, oh, that's, you're going to face challenges and you're not going to be in total control of this, and things are not going to go the way you planned them to. A lot of upheaval happening. So like, oh, we'll see. But like leading up to the trip, like things in our personal lives started coming up, and that already started showing itself. And then when we get there, things started happening. And then the whole trip, the whole theme was like we were dealing with like, yeah, it's the Tower. We just kept saying it's the Tower. That's been the theme of the trip. And I can share some strangeness that happened out there. Like what I'll say is like we've been to Sutton now like two or three times, and
I think 3 times.
3 times. Actually, yeah, the very first time me and her went for the festival, and we decided to stop by Bowl Town Battlefield, which is their like local Civil War little spot, historical field of campgrounds and stuff. And one thing that happened is when we walked back out there in the woods, she started feeling that bone-chilling cold I was talking about earlier.
And it was in the summertime.
It was hot and muggy and gross. She was like holding on to me like, please, warm me up. I'm freezing right now. And I'm like, what do you mean you're freezing? And yeah, I mean, she wasn't faking it. And I was like, well, maybe someone's trying to communicate with you.
Yeah.
We didn't really get much else while we were there. But then when we got back to the hotel room, she had this blood smear on her chest.
It looked like 2 fingers.
It's like 3. It was like 2 showed up on your skin and 3 on your shirt.
It's like that.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
as
wow.
if like someone like with a bloody hand was like, just kind of swiped across.
Well, that's not strange.
And, we did our best to like, I thought it was a scratch at first, the way it was coagulated upon her. It looked like a scratch, but it wasn't a scratch. It was just a smear, like someone with a bloody hand just kind of smeared onto her. And we could not figure out why that would have, we tried debunking it, but couldn't figure that out.
Did she feel it? I mean, did she feel anything?
No, I never felt it. Nope.
Okay.
Aside from that
Listen,
cold, like
area that
when it
house-
showed up, like we only noticed it when we got
I mean,
back.
it
So
wasn't there before we went to the battlefield.
I can try and pull it up real quick. I have a photo of what that looks like. But that was like, we weren't even seriously investigating out there. We were just there in the area for fun.
So do people contact you for investigations? Have you had very many people contact you, or do you just go out to haunted places or old houses?
Right now we're kind of trying to find our own places. But along the way, like you meet people, like you mentioned, and like I said a little bit earlier, there has been some people who have contacted and say, hey, like I do know someone from Maryland actually who's potentially got Bigfoot activity going on around his place. And I knew him before. He just knows I'm into this stuff and was like, well, I'm going to reach out to you because I know you're into this stuff. Here's the photo, by the way. I don't know if this will show up well, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah, wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and on my skin and on the outside of my shirt too.
So
Yeah, here's the
so that
on the
was like
shirt, too.
blood. It wasn't scrape. It wasn't like a like
No,
scabbed
no
up.
marks. No.
I thought
Okay.
marks.
you can kind of see how it looks a little darker right there. Like it looks like a
Yeah.
scratch kind of right there. But that's just kind of like the edge of where it kind of pulled up, I guess, and
Yeah, it looks
got darker.
It's not skin. No.
It was
okay.
dried blood. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks coagulated.
Yeah.
Real big time in that little piece right there.
Yeah, so that was like our very first thing when we were out at Sutton. And then when we went back for this trip, very obvious stuff started happening that I wasn't used to. One was, let me show you real quick. So we wear sometimes these rings around our necks. This is just like a ring made of hematite or something, just meant to just absorb negative energy. That's what the idea is, at least. And Elizabeth had a similar ring. She had a gold ring of an onyx stone in the middle of it. And she had it just like I'm showing here. It's looped into the, into the necklace.
Solid.
And it's got a little latch and stuff to open and close it. So when we get to Flatwoods, the day of our investigation that we want to do the house, we stop at the Flatwoods Monster sign because it's like a good photo op. It's like a spot where, really there's not much to see in Flatwoods because it's such a small town. So they have this big wooden sign that says "Home of the Green Monster, Flatwoods," and it's like, yeah, it's like a tourist, little spot. So let's stop here and get a team photo under the sign. So we take our photo, like we, are wearing our gear and everything. And on walking back to our car, she realizes like
look down because just something told me to look down.
Yep. And she realized that her necklace is still on, but her ring that was around the necklace had just disappeared.
And the chain was still clasped.
Yeah, I mean, she was still wearing it. Like, she just felt like she needed to look down. I was like, hey, that's gone. And I was like, that's really weird. Well, let's look for it. It's got to be here. Like, you just had it in the car. And you put it on. She's like, yeah, I know I put it on. And we're looking around the ground and we don't find it. We spent like 10 minutes looking for this like ring that should be shining like it's gold. Like it should be like glinting in the sun.
But how would it fall off?
Just can't. It wouldn't. That's the thing is like physically, it's like physically impossible. Cause like, even if you could say like, I don't know, half the ring broke off and just the stone dropped, like you'd still have the loop around. So like you'd have to like undo you'd have to break it, Yeah. And this ring wasn't broken. So that was like the very first moment of like, high strangeness is already starting. And then fast forward, we go to the Bigfoot Museum down there because they have a really good Bigfoot museum in Sutton. And she gets a pair of Mothman earrings, just simple Mothman earrings. And the lady there puts it into like a clear bag, kind of lunch bag kind of thing.
Folds it,
gives it to us. And we say, well, let's go to the Heyman house and just look at the house. Like, I don't know if they're open, but the Heyman house is like a notoriously messed up haunted house in the area, like very high energy house. And I was like, I just want to see the place, So we walked, a block and a half down, across the bridge and go check out the Heyman house. And then they were closed. So we're like, oh, well, and we like start walking back. And then she's again gets a feeling, looks at her bag. She's like, wait, my earrings are gone. And the earrings that were in this bag, like, again, you're not going to hold the bag upside down. It's not going to. Yeah. And you would have seen it drop out or something if you were to drop it. But anyway, the earrings went missing, and we actually ended up finding them. Like, I have it on video of like us like documenting that, and then turning, and like Eric's like walking down the sidewalk and he's like, oh wait, here they are. And he like finds on the sidewalk, but I'm like, still though, how did they teleport out of that bag and like get over there? And then by the end of the trip, like I almost thought I lost my camera at one point, like the thing I'm using to document the whole trip. I'm like, I'm not so absent-minded that I misplaced my camera, but I found it outside my car, like between the hood and the like in the like little area between the windshield wipers and the hood. Like I had put it there, I guess, and left it there. I was driving around town like for 40 minutes with this like camera like right in my windshield. Supposedly, I say supposedly because I'm like, I don't know if that camera moved. Like, but that happened. And then by the end of the trip, I'm kind of gloating like, well, at least I didn't lose anything. Like I've been keeping an eye on everything since she started losing stuff. I'm like, they didn't take anything from me. Cause like when the earrings went missing, I was like, something is definitely messing with us out here and trying to impede what we're doing and fulfilling the, theme of the tower. And, so I have this sunglasses, which you see prominently in our videos a lot of times. I'm wearing these like silver sunglasses. Well, we were getting ready to leave the area to go back home by the end of the trip, and I have the sunglasses on my face and in the car, and Eric's like, hey, can you help me find my shirt or my hat or whatever? And I'm like, okay. So like well, he didn't actually lose it. Like he just like, I just need help. Did you see this? I'm like, yeah, I just saw in your car. Like it's in there. And so I step out of the car and, well, I put the sunglasses on the brim of my hat like this, and I know they're there. I step out of my car, I help him find what he's looking for. I step back into my car.
The car that he's in is parked
Right next to us. Yeah. And then I get back in the car. I'm like, and I took the sunglasses off so I could see better and see into his car and find what he was looking for.
I put mine on top. I
and
had all the time.
Yeah. And then I go like this to put them back on my eyes when I get back in the driver's seat. And I'm like, wait, where are they? And I'm like, oh, damn it. They got me. Like, I just lost my sunglasses.
And
like
we looked nowhere.
They're not on the ground. Like they would have clanked to the ground. I would have seen them fall off. It was in a span of 2 minutes between me thinking like, I know I have these, and me just stepping away out of view of someone, me not seeing them on my head was enough for whatever is out there to be like yoink and dissipated into the ether. And they have not showed up. Like I was kind of hoping like the ring would show up or the sunglasses would show up. But yeah, it really got me into the lore of tricksters and researching that. And it's very deep in the Appalachian lore. They call them Tommy knockers out in that region. And it's from when the miners used to work the mines. They would actually have their things go missing. And the deal was you had to give them an offering, like a piece of food or a coin or something shiny, because they like shiny things like gold rings or sunglasses. And yeah, they would give them these things, and then they would return their items or they would not mess with them. So that is like my theory on like what was messing with us in terms of that. We haven't got our stuff back, so I guess they kept it. And what's funny too is I hit up Jay Pachochin, who's one of our research friends who does research out of the kettle, and he has a couple Bigfoot documentaries. And he has a Native American friend. So I asked him, I was like, hey, does your friend know anything about this type of stuff, like in their lore? And he's like, yeah, funny enough, like we have had something happen out in the kettle. You know, she was wearing her sunglasses and put them on her head, and they disappeared. And I was like, well, I know, like, funny you say that. So she had the same exact thing happen, basically. And so she does a tobacco offering each time they go out, just to kind of, you know. So, yeah, I mean, that's just like the tip of the iceberg in terms of like the interesting things we had happen through our contact out there. We did our investigation. You know, she was talking with us and said, you know, I know a guy you want to talk to. He had an alien encounter. I'm like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah, he has not changed his story over 40 years and claims like he had this close-up encounter. And so we did an interview with him, and I have that documented, and we'll upload it at some point. But it's a very compelling interview of this guy, you know, having a very close encounter, like something out of a movie, like them walking through he had a sleep paralysis episode basically, and saw these things like walking into his house and like rummaging around. And
that's
crazy. It was really interesting hearing him talk about it, because you can tell when someone's speaking truthfully out of memory or not. And
he definitely,
yeah, he was very solid, man. And he wasn't like disturbed by it either. He's like just a real like salt of the earth guy, but you know, was very like, I'm like, so do you have nightmares or anything about this? Or he's like, no, I just found it interesting. Like, it was pretty cool. You know, like, he just like, it is what it is. Like, I don't know what it is, but that's what happened. That's, you know, what I'm sticking to. And then he like, I asked him about Bigfoot and stuff. And of course, like, he's like, oh, I haven't seen him, but you know, my neighbor, you know, him and someone else have seen the same one, like, you know, in this area. And I'm like, of course you guys have. Why wouldn't you have Bigfoot over here? And they've seen UFOs and stuff like that, and flying saucers and fields and things. And, yeah, just everything you can imagine is out there. Like, Sutton is like an epicenter of activity for some reason.
It's on my bucket list. I'm gonna go.
So,
yeah,
be careful when you go out there. There's, if you stay at the hotel out there, the only one in Sutton, the Days Inn, it's a modern hotel, but that place, you know, because it is like the only place to go to, I think it's become like a hot spot for something bad.
there's a cemetery, right?
The family cemetery is right there, yeah, on the hill. I heard a whisper the first time we were there. I heard a whisper next to my bed, you know, like something going like,
Oh boy.
And it wasn't me.
Yeah. No, because it came from like the wall. Like I was like, did you hear that? And she's like, yeah, what was that?
You're sleeping in the
But,
Amityville horror hotel or something.
no, it wasn't even anything like that. That's what I'm saying. If you go
Well,
out there,
so
like that
far,
hotel, just be prepared.
Here's a question for
What's
you.
that?
I don't know if you've had this before, but if you could investigate anywhere in the world, where would you want to do an investigation? Like whether it be haunting or, something like, a Rendlesham Forest or something like, where would you love to go? What would be your number one spot?
Good question. I actually don't think about it too much. There's areas that when I'm watching on TV and stuff, I'll be like, oh, that's a really, interesting place. I'd like to go there, but I don't know if there's one that's really stuck to me personally as like, I've got to go there.
What's that? The forest out in that has that weird things, the trees that grow weird. We saw it on TV.
Yeah, there's that one forest in Transylvania, I think it is.
I'd love to go there.
And that place sounds like it's got like a lot of magical energy. I forget the name of it. It's like Hachibuchu Forest or something.
Big old booty forest. Anyway,
I'm probably making that up. Yeah.
have you guys ever thought? I think my spot would be like Skinwalker Ranch, because you have pretty much everything there. You have UFOs,
Another area of like
cryptids,
high strangeness. Yeah.
all kinds of. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I actually need to like brush up on my Skinwalker Ranch knowledge because like I know it's something that's like very like mainstream in this field, but it's something that because it's so mainstream, I'm like, I'll get to it eventually.
Right.
Like I'm into like the more niche stuff, like when I'm like stumbling on my own things,
Oh yeah.
Good, close to Area 51 in Arizona. That's
Yeah.
where I would love to.
Yeah, that'd be definitely a neat spot as well. Cool.
I got.
Yeah, we need to do more UFO sky stuff.
What were your thoughts about Northeast?
So the area is definitely squatchy. I mean, that's in our second episode is when we went out there. We actually walked out there beforehand, like a year before then, before we were doing what we're doing now. And me and Elizabeth definitely heard a wood knock while we were out in the woods there.
Just a single would not.
It was by, there's like a pond out there somewhere, and it was like near the pond, and I was like, there's no one else on these trails that we've seen. Like we're like the only people hiking out here, and like that was like just like a single big pop. Like where'd that come from?
Yeah.
And the area just has that feel, like it just looks right, feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta get.
I would like to go out there more.
We're going to be checking that out. They got a campground there. We're going to Woodlands Campground. I'm going to hang out there.
Is there actual, like, when you say campground? Because when we were there in our video, you see it. There's abandoned camps, like old camps, back in the day, and that's something I tried looking into. Like, hey, what made the DNR want to close down the camps that were here? Or why, was it budgeting or something else? Like, was it like a situation of land between the lakes? That's an area that I would like to go to.
Yeah.
Land between the lakes.
We know several people that have been there multiple times.
Multiple experiences too.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I think when you're talking about out there in Northeast, the park still has campsites. I don't know about in the actual forest section. I don't think there's anything there anymore. There's probably some old defunct ones, but
yeah,
on the east side of the forest.
Yeah,
campground is actually part of the forest.
Forest too.
Yeah,
I think I know which campground. Yeah, I've seen that on a map, so that's what I was curious about, if it's that one or not.
And I'll have to put you in contact with Burkhart so you guys can.
Yeah, they've got casts from out there.
Talk about I know him, and I know a couple of the guys that go out with that. Well, they haven't been going out as much, but I'm in contact with one of the other guys too.
I think it's episode 5 and 6.
Yeah,
back to back weeks we did a show with Burkhart.
Strange thing about that when I went out there, because it's only like 45 minutes from here. So I rode over there, and my dad actually grew up out there, and we're walking around out there. And keep in mind, there is a dump on the other side of it. And they've had issues with the fence being tore up and all that other stuff. But if you've ever heard about finding blue balloons or any of the things like that they like to play with, I've heard a lot of researchers talk about that. We were
Blue
walking around
balloons?
out there, and I found a blue balloon, just one of the Mylar ones, and it was deflated already. And I found it wrapped around a stick that was broke off, and it was laying just in the middle of a mud hole. But something had tied this thing to
Didn't
the
we
branch.
see?
It broke off.
Didn't we see something in the trees out there that we thought was trash?
Oh yes, we
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when we were out there, we didn't document it because I just was like, that's just trash in a tree. But because it was like some kites or something.
It was huge up in the tree.
I think we saw like a kite in a tree up there, but
Yeah.
I assume that was from the campground and some kid just lost their kite. But
Yeah.
There's a school. There's a school.
there was that in
in
the video that in the video we posted on episode 2. There was that one point where I found that like tire up in the tree that was like grown into the tree. That was like a strange sight, and I was like, oh, that's like 20 feet up there.
And Paul goes out with
Yeah.
Mike sometimes. In fact, Paul's the one I'm talking about that goes out there.
Yep.
Yep, they found a lot of blue stuff out there.
I'll keep that in mind. The
Yeah.
blue thing. We're researching.
I've talked to several
the-
guys, a lot of guys that have been doing this for a long time that are down south, and they run into it all the time. One of my friends a couple months ago in the state game lands at PA found one wadded up, shoved under a log.
Yeah, well, you know what? What's interesting about this, the color blue, is like it's not something that happens a lot in nature, right? They say like, oh, blue is not like a really common color for nature to produce. Like it's something that there's bluish looking things, like you got like blue jays, but they're not actually blue. They're just like iridescent. So maybe they have a fascination if the things are just like strikingly blue because it's like, hey, all we see is brown and green all day, and maybe reds and yellows. But like blue is like a rare color to them.
Yeah. I also found a duck egg that day in the same spot. And the weird thing about it was it looked like something had stuck its thumb inside the side of that egg. And I've got hundreds of eggs out here to look at because I raise chickens. And the way this thing looked is it took its thumb and pushed it into the side. What it looked like to me, and then it just probably sucked the egg out. That's what I'm thinking. It didn't look like something hatched out of it.
Right, like someone's like,
Like
it
something,
and,
just like
eat it,
broke it
left
open
the shell.
and ate the egg. Yeah, that's what it looked
Yeah,
like.
interesting.
Yeah, it was. Don't see that too often.
Do you guys ever, when you go out, are you going out to look for particular things or anything?
We usually have a goal in mind, but it usually turns out that we'll have other stuff, happen, just like we're going to do our house investigation, things found us, right?
Right.
Episode 2.
Well, episode 1,
Episode 1.
our first episode, the whole idea was we're going to just go out and look at the sky. That's all our plan was for the night. It wasn't even anything paranormal or Bigfoot or anything. And that's actually something that I looked in hindsight and I kind of want to revisit that episode because the very first thing that happens in that episode is we see eyes staring at us from the distance about 600 feet away. Because I picked a spot it's in Shenandoah and, it's a pretty open field. I was like, that'll be a good spot just to go. It's going to be dark. It's going to be open, wide field. And we get there and we see like eyes glowing and I'm like, huh, interesting. But in the video, I'm like, it's probably deer because I'm like instantly trying to, rationalize it.
Right.
But in hindsight, we talked about like our gut at the time was like, those eyes look kind of big though. Like they're pretty far away and they're pretty big for how far they are. And then later, after I was done editing the video and posting it, like I was like, actually, maybe I should just try and do a little bit of analysis here. And we have a deer that shows up at the end of the video. So I know pretty much approximately how far that deer was. And it was like 200 feet. So I'm like, okay, well, let me take its eyes, because I looked at the camera and I was fully zoomed in, and I'll take this other fully zoomed in shot I have of the eyes that we got when we got there. And when I overlay them together, like the eyes in the distance that are 600 feet away are like twice the size of the deer eyes that were 200 feet away. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's just the camera's a little blurrier, making them look bigger, but those eyes do physically look bigger, you know, when I line them up to each other. And I start pacing back in my head of like, well, what did we experience while we were out there? So, you know, I'll spoil episode 1. I think more people should watch it because it's like actually got like evidence in it of things happening. It's, you know, it's short and sweet. But anyway, the very first thing that happens that's not documented was me and Elizabeth hear an elk out there. And I know they're reintroducing elk into parts of West Virginia and Virginia, but that's like way, way west of Virginia. We're way east. Like we're totally out of that zone of reintroduction. And we heard an elk go off. And then that was to our right. And then to our left, we hear like a guy yelling, or it sounded like a guy, just like a humanish kind of yell. And then after that, like coyotes start going crazy. So it's almost like the noises that occurred set off the coyotes, which I know is something that like in Bigfoot circles, like tends to be a reoccurring thing. Like it's like, oh, they do a call and that sets off the coyotes. And then later on in the night, we have this on the audio. Like I capture like a weird, like subtle whoop. It's like a whoop, you know, that happens. And then we heard like things walking around us and, you know, things like that. So I start thinking like, well, when we got there, did we interrupt like a hunt? Like, did we get in the way of like, if there are Bigfoot out there, did we get in the way of like a deer hunt? And they were trying to kind of figure out how to get rid of us. And like their first tactic was, okay, we're going to make the coyotes go off and scare them away. Cause the coyotes are pretty close. In the video, the coyotes are loud. They're like in the field somewhere near us. So they were pretty close. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they're trying to scare us off coyotes. And we stuck our ground, and then they started approaching closer. And that's every time we would go look at the sky, like Eric would be like, I'm hearing stuff and we're on edge. And, you know, like we didn't want to look at the sky anymore because we're hearing things walking around us. And then I get the whoop kind of noise and just all the calls. So I started just adding it all up, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe we're actually experiencing Sasquatch out there without realizing it. But what we do have at the end of the episode, which is really cool, is we get an EVP out there, of all places. And it's a very clear EVP of a guy with like a southern sort of drawl saying, "Oh, it's you." And it's like no doubt that he says that. And I debunk it in the video. I show that, like, you know, I match up the audio I had with the camera and showing what we were saying at the time. I'm like, no, he's talking over me. That's not it. It doesn't match up. The words don't match up. And we didn't know this going there, but there's like a grave marker there alongside the Appalachian Trail. I don't know what happened there. I couldn't find any like history of the accident, but like it's like a small little cross that people put when like an accident happens to like memorialize someone. You know, you see them on the side of the road a lot when there's car crashes. But there was one of those up there by the trail, like just in a bush, and I was like, well, maybe it's that guy, you know, or that person. They're just saying, "Oh, it's you. Like, you're here." And I don't know. So yeah, we go out a lot of times looking for one thing and we get others.
That's cool. Hey, it's never boring then. So
I
which
see,
one of
Mike's
you?
in chat.
Which one of you is the bravest?
I would say, I mean, selfishly, I'm going to say it's me, just because I'm the most calm when it comes to things. But we're all pretty brave to like do the
Just
things
to
we
do
do.
it.
I think.
Yeah, just to get out there
Yeah.
and do it. I think you all have to have, you know, a little bit of insanity, as well as, you got to have that little bit of craziness.
You have to be a little crazy to do what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going out in the middle of the night, into the dark woods or into a dark
Oh, yeah.
house, and yeah.
There's plenty of people we talk to who are friends who are just like, you do what? Like, I would never.
You're crazy.
Yeah, they say you're crazy for doing that. We're like, no, we're just curious.
Yes, I
crazy.
love it because I'm always the first one to go into a dark room. I'm the first one. They tested my fight or flight one year. They went and saw the Blair Witch Project when it first came out. And I had a horse farm at the time.
I was
And
near us.
I went down to the barn and no lights, in the barn there were, but you're in the barn, you flip the lights on, you feed the horses. When you flip the lights off, now you can't see anything walking through the dark woods. And one of my buddies that dropped me off thought he'd be funny and go back up the path and meet me halfway and jump down through these trees and scare me. Well, when he picked himself up off the ground after I broke his nose, it was like, okay, I realized that I am a fight before flight. And so I love the fact that, that you three do it as a group. Obviously, safety in numbers, that's the best way to go. But it's just the fact that you all go out and do this is what's really, I'm always impressed by the people that go out and, hey, let's go out and find, something supernatural or, a cryptid.
I think I probably have it to a degree of like, I don't know how I would react if I saw a Bigfoot like face to face. Everyone like thinks they're going to react one way and they react another way or don't know how they're going to react. But my general, I'm not someone who reacts to a lot of things. Like I'm just kind of very like stable. Yeah. I process things differently, maybe not in a healthy way all the time, but
I do that the same way a lot of times when I hear stuff. I'm like, huh. Well,
yeah, like I should probably be reacting to that, but like I'm not, like when we had that scream go off, like their reaction was to run, like flight, like get out of there. Mine was like, hold on, like let's question that. Yeah. What was that? I forgot to mention that story, by the way. Yeah, I forgot to mention that story, by the way. That owl that I heard, like I saw that owl's potentially a precursor warning because after that noise happened, that owl made noises I've never heard an owl make before. That thing was like pissed off. Like it was like call, like just like screeching and hollering. I was like, yeah, the owl's mad. The owl's like, get out of here, But yeah. And actually, while we're talking about, Mike's here now. Mike's the one that was featured in our most recent episode 4, which is Green Ridge State Forest. I talk about this in that episode, but I can do it here too. Sure. Me and her actually had a potential Bigfoot experience out in Green Ridge. The first time we were there, not in that video, but the very first time we were there, we went out there just as camp a night. And we got set up in, if you are familiar with the area, they have group sites, which are large sites. And then you have the small personal sites for like a couple cars. Well, I got there late and it was a self-serve thing because the, person's gone for the day.
It's always self-serve. No one's ever like, in there.
Well, last time I went there, she was there, but I look at this board and every site is taken except for the group site. So I'm like, I'm probably not supposed to take the site because it's for like probably like 20 cars, but I'm late enough. No one's going to come around here. So I took the site, and what that meant was we had this big kind of empty field to ourselves, like one little tent in this big field. And it went off. It was a really nice research spot because it had an old road that goes back into the woods and meanders a couple 100 feet and goes off in a direction. There's no other campsites down a valley, and there's a dry creek bed behind us and stuff. And while we were out there, I was like, hey, let's do a night hike. Let's try and just like, this is a squatchy area. Let's do it. And I was getting used to my thermal and stuff and had some new equipment. And as I'm getting, again, I always kind of joke. It's like a universal joke that like if things are going to happen and you're not ready for it. And it's like, that's like the best way of giving evidence is like, just have your guard down because it seems like that's when things happen sometimes. But I'm like, they're like fumbling, getting my stuff ready. And both me and Elizabeth hear like a laugh come from the woods.
Like a witch's cackle, kind of.
Yeah, it wasn't like a ha ha ha. It was like like a real high pitch, like weird sounding laugh, but it was a laugh nonetheless. And it came like from that like creek bed, and right after that, like we're trying to process it, and we have the audio of us reacting to it. I had my audio recorder in a really crappy spot, so it didn't actually get the laugh noise. It was kind of muffled because I was like turning and reacting to what I was hearing, so it was kind of scuffed. But you hear us like reacting to like what we're trying to like, and immediately it's one of those things that's so creepy when it happens. You're like, you want to think it's something else because what you just heard is like not natural and you shouldn't be hearing it coming from the woods. But I was like, I don't know, she was like, maybe it was a bug. And I was like, no, I think it was like maybe a bird. And she's like, a bird at this time, like that doesn't make sense. And like, I don't know, let me just get my thermal out and scan it. And she's like, okay. And, like 20 seconds later, we hear a wood knock go off as well in that direction down the creek further. And it happened like once or twice. It was like first like a little snap, and then it was a knock. And I have the knock on audio, and that's in the video of us replaying this encounter and the story again. But yeah, if you guys want to hear that, it's in the last episode, towards the end there. But yeah, the laughter thing was just really weird. And I've heard of stories of people hearing stuff like that from Bigfoot. But that's like the closest thing I've experienced so far to a potential. I can't say it was. All I can say is it was definitely weird and wasn't other people in the area, because how close it was and stuff. And, and then we had the wood knock afterwards. So, and then throughout the night, I put up a recorder and I heard a lot of like little knocks and creaks and things like that. So I don't know.
That's cool.
You'll hear a lot of stuff out in that one spot I go to out there.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
I wrote some questions down. I told you I've been asking a few, but so you investigate everything pretty much. What's your favorite? Because we all go out and buy thermals and night vision stuff and other recorders. What's your go-to instrument that you use? That you're maybe your favorite one to use.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Bigfooting goes, mine is probably thermal, just because it gives me the most confidence. I've used like the night vision binoculars and stuff before, but the issue of those is they kind of blind your eyes. Like when you have your face up to a screen, an LCD screen, and then you take them off, you hear something, you like bring them down and all you see is black. Like that's not good. So the thermal, I attach it to my phone, and I have like a top on, so I can kind of attach it to the phone and just scan around. And I know for a fact that like if there's something hot, it's going to show up, hopefully. So that gives me just the confidence of like not feeling so creeped out when I'm looking for these things. But yeah, what about you? Anything you like?
I like the spirit box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we used that recently too. Yeah.
Recorders
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yep. Recorders are real handy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I go ahead. Go ahead, guys.
I was going to say that we put drop recorders in the areas we investigate too. Like when me and Mike went out to Green Ridge, we left overnight recorders each night. And the thing that's not fun is going through like 8 hours of crickets and stuff.
I still have stuff from 2 years ago that I haven't finished because I left one out.
I mean, I've learned
3 hours on the back of the farm.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I've learned tactics to make it a little easier, like, but still, it's still like quite a, monotonous task to go through audio recordings. But it's also like something that like really be like, what was that? But we didn't really get anything. Mike's saying the crickets in the highway killed us. The crickets are really loud, and unfortunately, I just flying at night. Yeah, that highway nearby, we didn't expect it to be so loud as it was, but it picks up pretty good on the recordings, and so it is what it is. But great. The spot that me and Mike found is, I think, an excellent spot to go back to sometime, and
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna set you guys.
Never used a Geiger counter.
If you want to stay there all night, it might be a good place to find something.
Yeah. Let's see. I see a question here. Have we used a Geiger counter for radiation detection? We don't have one of those yet, but it's something I've considered adding to our toolkit. I've heard of other researchers doing that.
Yeah, I'm a prepper, so I want a Geiger counter.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
definitely think if you guys set up in that spot overnight, you'd definitely get something there. Even if you just went and left recorders out in it. Because that's where I've found tracks. No one else ever stays out there. It's weird. It looks like no one ever. I mean, it's a perfect spot for you to hike in and stay there. It's only a mile and a half from the road where everybody else camps. It just seems odd.
Well, I think that's what it is. But there is, you have like over 100 designated campsites at Green Ridge, so it's very convenient, and they're nice sites too. Like if you, it's not like going to a campground where there's people right next to you, like a few feet away. It's like you are separated from other campsites out there pretty good. So I think for the most part, people who want to recreationally camp out there are going to do that.
Especially if they want to be isolated.
Yeah, I just don't see a lot of backpackers going in, because if you want to be a backpacker and do that, you're probably going to find a place that's more suitable for backpacking. So I think it takes a certain person to be like, I know there's backcountry spots out there, and that's what I want to do versus just, taking the car up.
Yeah, because we pack.
But yeah, I would do that at some point, probably.
We pack frame in from the trailhead.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah. I've seen some of those sites back there. I've hiked a little bit of the trails back there, but I need to go to the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's Long Pond, and there's a little cliff. I showed you the pictures of it, where all that stuff was in that little makeshift like cave underneath the bottom of the cliff.
Yeah, the abandoned camp.
That was so weird. The fact that they haven't even cleaned it's still all there, and it's been there. It was there in 2 years ago when we started going. It was still there this past spring.
Yeah, you got to wonder why they just up and left their stuff, like, especially when it's stuff it's like, well, that looked like it's still usable.
Right.
There's like shovels and rakes and fish traps and cast iron pots and utensils still hanging from the tree out there with the little solar light with all the Christmas lights hanging off of it.
You didn't take any of it, Jeffrey, did you?
No.
Good. Don't leave it there.
I carried enough.
Leave it there.
I did find I found Wilson in the middle of the woods. I found a random basketball up there on the ridge line before I found the track.
Well, first of all, Wilson is a volleyball. So you found his brother Spalding.
Yeah, I found Spalding.
Yeah, that the camp thing, I told you, offline, Jeff, about that one camp I found out in Spruce Knob, and I think Spruce Knob is also a very squatchy area. I mean, all the Monongahela forest, really. I mean, it's such a big forest. You got so much out there.
About that place.
Yeah, I've gone solo backpacking there before, and I came across, I went off trail to an old forest road trail, and went back there just because I like to kind of carve my own path a lot of times and have adventures, and still being safe. Like, it's not like I'm like bushwhacking and like getting lost. Like, I can follow the path. It's just less worn than other paths, but it led me to a meadow, and when I got up to the meadow, I saw this like stone tower that was like stacked up a bunch of stones. I'm like, what's up with that? And I go over there, and deep in the woods there, you have like a big old camp of some sort. And I was like, wow, there's people living out here for sure, like hardcore living out here, because they had like old mattresses and barrels and propane heaters and all that sort of stuff out there. And actually, I don't know if I told you this, but yeah, it was definitely like a hobo camp situation. But when I was Mike's gotten good knocks at Dolly Sods. I think that's on Small Town Monsters has an episode where he was out with those guys and they got some knocks. But when I was out at Spruce Knob one time, long story short, I was kind of feeling in my gut that I shouldn't stay the night or stay another night. I stayed at one night and I was just like, I'm so used to these woods. Like, I love this place, but like, I'm not feeling welcome here. So I decided to leave, and on my way out, I'm kind of doing this thing where I'm being very observant of my surroundings. I am thinking Squatch, it's on my mind. Like, this is like when I'm deep in it, I was listening to like, Sasquatch Legend Meets Science, Jeff Meldrum's book, and like listen to audiobook while I was there and stuff. So I was deep in that mode. And I stop in at one point of the trail just to listen to this like bird or something. But I hear when people talk about they hear like a loud noise, like a crash in the woods. That's kind of what I experienced out there. Like I heard like it sounded like as if a big tree or huge tree limb suddenly exploded. Like it was just like a huge crash, and it like made my heart jump and like jump out of my chest almost because it was so loud. It was right across on the other side of the tree line, just out of view. And I don't know, it didn't sound like a tree falling, because when trees fall, they have the precursor of the snap, 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 and creak, 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 and then the whoosh and bang. It was just the bang, like as if someone took a big log and like a rotting log and just kind of like cracked it over their knee, if they could do that. Yeah. But it just explosion kind of sound, and I stood there a while and I was like, all right, well, maybe they know I'm looking around and they're trying to give me a sign of get out of here. Like, we're tired of you. But yeah, I have a theory on like, I think that like they know, that they know kind of thing. When you're stopping at every little twig break and they know that that's something that they left for their kind, but you're noticing it and most other people don't notice it. It kind of gets you into the realm of like, well, maybe that's how they get attracted to certain people or mark certain people, because it's like, well, they know too much, or we can approach because they know their intentions, they know my intentions. It wasn't anything negative, but I was curious, so maybe they're noticing me being curious and just wanted to be like, all right, well.
The thing I've learned about going out to Green Ridge, if you just go out there and set up camp out in that spot and just don't do anything, at some point you're going to hear them.
Yeah. That's something to do too. Let's go out and just be quiet and see what we get. Just sitting here. Me and Mike did that a lot, and I saw Mike make a comment about. Did I tell you guys about the tree people thing?
I was getting ready to bring that up.
Yeah.
What that's about is my mom actually had a. This is out in not out in Green Ridge, kind of not. It's still in the general Panhandle area. So there's a wildlife area out there, and there's a park attached to it. And she went to this park just to go look for mushrooms or something. And not very far along the trail, she finds this, or she sees this like thing in the trees off trail, and it kind of caught her attention. She's staring at it like, what am I looking at? Like, it looks like, like a guy almost like in a ghillie suit. And she saw like a dark face and like big bushy hair. And then, she's looking and then she sees it move. And when she saw it move, she realized it wasn't like a bush or something. It was like actually a thing, and she saw a face, and that's what scared her. And then she like got out of there, and she's like, I think I might have just seen a Sasquatch. I said, oh, really? Well, show me where. Like, I want to go out and you show me where you saw it, so I can just paint a mental picture of what you saw and see if I can deduct anything. Like, is there any other trails where maybe you saw someone like peeing or whatever, and you caught this guy with his pants down? It wasn't anything like that. It was like where she saw it was like, no, like that would be a dumb spot to go pee. There's like thorn bushes everywhere there. So anyway, we didn't see anything when I was with her there, but we stopped by one of the shelters that's there because it's along the Tuscarora Trail, and they have shelters kind of like the AT does, and they have logbooks. And when I go in the logbook just for fun to flip through it, there's locals who live in the area, like there's houses up there and stuff. And someone's made a log of like, hey, beautiful day, walking my dogs, nice day out, blah, blah, blah. And then they do a PS, and they say, PS, beware of the tree people. And I'm like, why would you say that? Like, what does that mean? First of all, tree people. It just sounds like a local name that someone would have for these things. Like, yeah, they like to be behind the trees or in the trees, or I don't know. But it's attached to a very large wildlife management area with a lake and everything. So in the mountains, it's very squatchy. So I don't doubt it.
That's similar to something I read at the Long Pond Trail booklet about, the big guy saying that they had something following him. I'm like, huh.
Yeah, those trail books, I think, or those shelter books and trail books, they can be a source of,
Anytime I stop
say
at one
what
of those
what they
places,
experience
I read
sometimes.
the book. I'm always looking in the book to see if anybody left something.
Yeah, no, I definitely am too.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. I like to get on some of the sillier questions, but have you ever felt like when you're in the woods that something's followed you, or while you're doing a paranormal haunt or paranormal, do you feel like anything's ever followed you or followed you home? Or obviously not a Bigfoot follow you home, you'd know that, but follow you in the woods or anything like that?
As far as the woods with Sasquatch type stuff, the closest thing we had to that was actually in the last PA camping adventure. They do night hikes, and while we were out there, we did. I wouldn't necessarily say we were followed out, but they did experience some like knocks and things and things moving in the woods, and we definitely experienced like stuff being thrown at us kind of while we were out there. And then on the way out, the guy I was walking with was like, I feel like I keep hearing, like he's like, they're pacing us out, I think, but he was also like a younger guy, and I'm like, you might just be excited about this, trying to follow in your dad's footsteps kind of thing. But because I personally didn't hear footsteps following me, but he claimed so, and he thought he saw a shadow, and so not really too much of that. We need to go to squatchier areas and just like really get deep in it, I think, to get to that point. As far as anything else following us, I don't think so. The closest thing is probably just being out in Sutton and having the whole place feel like it was following us.
Yeah.
You want to hear something weird? The one night I was out there, laying in the hammock at midnight, and you know how it is when you got other people in the hammocks hanging next to you, or like if somebody's snoring, you're going to be like, once in a while you'll wake up and hear it. And I'm usually the one waking everyone else up, but I think all three of us were snoring on that trip. And I woke up to my buddy, and on that Long Pond Trail, the trail comes down along the creek on to this bend when there's like a little ridge behind us. Well, there's like a ridge here, and then on the bend, there's a ridge across from us, which is where I found that print. Well, in the middle of the night, which was the first night I think we were there, was a night, but literally before I found the track the next day, I'm facing the trailhead, or the trail as it's coming past. One's facing this way, the other one's facing this way. We're all off the same tree. So I hear him snoring. And then I hear a mimic of the snore directly in front of me. He's here. I'm hearing it over here now. And I'm like, the hell? So I'm trying to be real quiet as I'm trying to find my headlamp inside of but if anyone's ever slept in a hammock, you can't move around inside the damn thing without making noise. So I'm like, my one arm's like asleep. So I'm trying to reach around and find my headlamp with my left arm. Well, I finally find the lamp, and as soon as I start to move the zipper, it stops. So at that point, I just threw the zipper open and shoved my head out to look for it. And it couldn't have been any more than 30 yards across from me. And next morning, I found an X out there where we had been collecting firewood all the evening before. So I would have seen that the night before.
What did you find?
A cross.
X.
They put
The X.
Yeah.
What do you think of that structure that Mike and I found in our last video that kind of looks like a star shape? Like that to me, like it caught my eye immediately when I saw it, and he kind of like joked about me. Like that's kind of like an area where me and Mike differ a bit. Like he's not as big into the tree structure stuff. I am, more open to it. And that one, just like when I saw it, I was like, that it looks out of place, but that's why we try and debunk it and be like, well, could it have happened naturally? But
I'm still getting into like the whole glyphs and all the stick stuff, and we know a lot of people that are big into the stick stuff, and Jerry's found stuff like that too. but there's also I need to do some more research and learn more on the whole.
I just think it's a clever way of them to communicate and stay hidden, because it's one of those things where it casts enough doubt on a human mind that, if I were them, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to set this up here because it means something to us. It's either a sign or like a stay out, or we went this way. But if they're smart enough to figure that out and know that a human might come across this, let me also set it up in a way where I can make it look like it was just, fallen naturally, like make it make sense.
I don't
know what I
think
mean?
it's necessarily a warning, because if it was, why wouldn't they come back and try to run us off while we're there for 4 days?
Yeah, it could be a remnant too. I don't know. Who knows why if the structures are a behavior, but we do know that like other primates at least can communicate with.
I mean, they could be
leaving sticks and things.
Hey, people might stop here once in a while, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Jerry had to stop. Jerry's been hurting his shoulders, his back, so he's hasn't been getting much sleep either. So we'll do this with just us.
That's fine. Nice to have him while he was here.
Well, hey, now let's talk UFOs. Yeah, like that smile. Let's talk UFOs. What kind of experiences have we had there? I mean, obviously we're not talking close encounters of the fourth kind, but what are we seeing here?
I think that's an area that we're still looking forward to trying to have our own experience in. Like, I do believe the UFO stuff is a matter of like, I'm getting really into the consciousness side of things, of like, into that field of like, it's more of like a higher level, higher energy. And we just didn't really get much of an opportunity yet to like go out to a good place and just really like meditate on it and like really try and practice, like CE5 type practices where you meditate and like use the right sounds to try and call stuff in. But like, I do think that's something that we want to try more of.
Yeah, definitely.
I personally haven't seen what I would say is like something like super mysterious in the sky. Like, I'm still waiting for my moment for that. My mom has seen a UFO out along 270. She saw actually 70. She saw it, and a bunch of other people saw it, because it was enough to the point where people stopped on the side of the highway. And this is not a highway that you should like normally just like pull off, because there's always like crashes and stuff. But like enough people were like pulling over and looking at the sky, being like, "What's going on?" Because there was helicopters and stuff following it too. Like, and then she said they saw this like thing and it blinked out, like it just like disappeared. But there's like helicopters following the direction of this thing and all that. So she had that experience. Elizabeth, I don't know. You mentioned seeing like a spiral in the sky or something once. Yeah. What's that about?
So I was sitting on a curb somewhere. I was young, playing with my neighbors, and they went inside to go get something, and I'm just look up in the sky and I see like this bright orange, perfectly round thing just come right at me, but it's up in the sky and it's quiet. And then it just disappeared. I don't know what it was. And then after that, a plane was just flying, or a helicopter. I'm kind of fuzzy on my memory for that. It was just really acting weird right after that. And I was pretty young when I experienced that. So, but something orange, perfectly round, just hovered above me up in the sky.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, when I was a kid, very young, like this is like just like an unlocked memory that I remember it again. I remember it once in a while. It's not like for sure I could say, because I was so young that I can't fully remember it. But I do remember being out somewhere. I think we were at like a battlefield or something with some family and friends, and it was a partly cloudy day, and there was this big cumulus clouds and stuff, but there was a break in the clouds, and you can see some blue sky. And I remember looking up and seeing like a silver ball in the clouds, kind of like behind the clouds, moving behind the clouds, and it wasn't like a plane. It was like just like hovering like a ball. And I remember pointing it out and us looking at it and be like, wow, what is that? And I think my dad was like, oh, I think it could be a weather balloon or something, which is classic excuse.
It's always a weather balloon, right? It's always a weather
balloon. But it could have been a weather balloon because it did look maybe, I don't know. But that's one of those things. It's like, I wasn't for sure, but that's the only thing I can say like I can remember personally seeing a strange object in the sky.
But it's still, to you, it's still a UFO because you couldn't identify what it was.
Right. Okay, technically, yeah.
So
yeah. What's funny is I was talking to him somewhat recently. He told me that when he was younger in his teens, he grew up in a small town in Kansas, and he goes to tell me about when I was talking about UFOs one time. He's like, well, actually, I had this one thing I saw, as the sun was going down, I see this red light in the sky, and it started lowering itself to the ground very, very slowly. And it landed, like as if something landed on the other side of the river, outside of town. And what was interesting about it was the Air Force base that's right nearby, they started scrambling jets like right after that sighting he had. And then I think he mentioned there was something in the newspaper about why they're scrambling jets, but they had some bogus excuse like, oh, there was a fallen weather balloon type thing, like again, like using that like typical excuse. But
like they did with the drones recently, how all these are all drones over everywhere.
That there's definitely something going on there, whether it's alien or not, I don't know. Like I do believe that every UFO is not an alien. Is it based off alien technology? Perhaps. But yeah, there's something not right about everything that's going on there. And the way it was handled was like super clumsy, I think, by the government. It's like they just didn't know what to do.
Or on purpose. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Or on purpose, yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things that I've talked with other people about are the UFO Bigfoot connections. Do you think there could be a connection there with UFOs and Bigfoot?
Oh yes, I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned, like we think everything is connected in certain ways, and I've heard various stories and accounts where things like that, like you'll have a UFO landing, and then you'll see Bigfoot creatures. It's like, so does it mean that are they coming out of the craft, or is it more of like it's just a moment of like something else happening where worlds are crossing and these guys, everything's like meeting up, in the same area, and you just happen to be there when this like meetup is happening, type thing.
Like for a short second, maybe a portal's opened, and you're seeing this and what's in the sky, and maybe that's what created the portal. Or
I know out in Pennsylvania, Chestnut Ridge and stuff like that area has a hot history with that, and Stan Gordon is obviously the main guy to talk to. He's like an amazing resource for that kind of stuff. But he has a very very interesting Bigfoot UFO connection story that he personally worked on out there. So yeah, I don't know if it's one of those things. It's like it sounds crazy to like the average person. Like it makes Bigfoot's already crazy enough, but then when you say Bigfoot's an alien, it's like they're like, all right, get out of here. But it's something that you start considering more, the more that you look into this stuff. It's like,
sure.
Something I wanted to ask you guys, have you guys looked into anything like Dogman or anything like that yet?
I personally look into it. Like I listen to Dogman Encounters on YouTube a lot. I'm one of those like crazy people that likes to fall asleep to scary stories.
Good. So you're like me.
Yeah, but it's nice to like. It's something that's just good to listen to people talk to you sometimes as you fall asleep. And
it could be cool to experience a Dogman encounter, but in a safe place, like in your car.
Yeah, that's our rule.
That's kind of everybody's thought
but
there.
It's be in a car. Yeah.
Maybe running, beside the car,
Well, you hear that
you do hear it. Yes.
You hear that story a lot of like people saying like, I saw it in the car and it was keeping speed with the car, going at 45 miles or 50 miles per hour on a highway. And it's always like coming out of a field or like a cornfield and stuff. And I kind of toyed with this idea in our episode to Northeast, episode 2. Towards the end of the episode, I'd say, well, we're leaving here, but we're actually going to stop along the side of a road somewhere, like I found on the way home, like middle of nowhere, like a mile into the woods, and just sit there. Because I've heard stories of people just taking a break for whatever reason, like they have to go to the bathroom or, whatever. And because the fact that they stop their car, like seems to like these things perk up and are like, what are you doing? Like, why are you stopping your car? And these things approach them. So I have this idea of like investigating by car, and just driving to areas that are like dark and creepy and just sitting in your car and waiting to see if something shows up.
I think that sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Especially,
yeah, and then if you're pretty
Elizabeth's
safe,
going
if you
with
need to go, you can go.
Well, one of our earlier episodes, one of our friends that's in here sometimes, he had 3 dogman encounters in the Baltimore County area.
Oh, Sean.
Yeah, actually, one of the ones I know of is right outside. So the Patuxent Wildlife Refuge, that area has definitely got something going on, whether it be Dogman or Bigfoot or both. There's stories that have come out of around that region, but one of the first Dogman encounter episodes I heard was from there because someone said, you got to check this guy out. Here's one from Maryland. And I'm like, I know that area. So I immediately already know that, like, he's probably not bullcrapping about it. And they're very particular about what you do over there because half of that area is closed off to public access. And I went out there hiking once, and like they want your like license plate number and your ID and a form you have to fill out while you're there, and you have to like give them like reasons why you're there to go on a hike. And then while I was walking along the trail there, a car comes up to me and he's like, you know what time it is, right? You're gonna have enough time to get back before dark. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going this loop and I'll be back before sundown. Like just like mysterious van pulls up, and so it's like they keep track of people out there, make sure they're not over prodding.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I like this. Mike pays attention. He knows what the Dueyo is. That's the Maryland Dog Man.
Was it Dueyo?
Yeah. Yep.
I was just curious. Have you come up on or thought about going after or hunting other types of cryptids? Not just Bigfoot, Dogman, but like Mothman. I mean, the West Virginia area. Mothman.
I think it would be fun to follow, those stories. Like one thing we wanted to do while we were out in Sutton was go to Point Pleasant and just kind of be in the area where it happened, just kind of get a sense of the area. Not necessarily to like look for it. I think that's kind of like ambulance chasing isn't always the best thing to do. I think the best thing to do is.
And the boss has a question.
Yeah.
The boss does?
Yeah, hold on.
Is it?
What's their opinion of Bigfoot being tied to the UFOs?
Yeah, I think we were just talking about that, right?
I think he might have missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, our general opinion is like, yes, there seems like there could be a connection, but it's also like one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's like, what is the connection? Is more the better. There is a connection, but what is the connection? I think is a better question. And that's like something I don't think anyone knows.
I got a good question for you. Why do you think there are people that have multiple experiences, whether it be UFO or cryptid, and other people that don't see it at all? Do you think it's just because they don't pay enough? They're not looking up, or they're not looking down, or do you think it's where I said in the beginning, sort of an energy? Some people have a higher level of energy, can see more. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I personally think it's more on that realm of it, like an energy thing. Like the thing is, like, we don't understand really, even as like a species, like we're still just, at the cusp of understanding what quantum physics can do and stuff. And if you look at on the quantum level, we know that, particles can get entangled and, basically communicate with each other halfway across the world, and be entangled with each other. So there's this idea of like, well, when you're marked by these things, are they doing something where they're entangling, maybe on a quantum energy level, they know how to manipulate that and can entangle themselves to you. And that's how they know where you're at all the time. And how come some people have a Bigfoot encounter in one state and then they go halfway across the country and they have more Bigfoot encounters. It's like, oh, like this guy's here. It's like, it's almost like a network of like, yeah, we know you're here.
Yeah.
That would be my rationale for like how it happens, is it's got something to do with like quantum, type of energy. But I do think it's like at the base of it, it's like, just like, yeah, it's an energy thing. It's a consciousness thing. When you start raising your consciousness and your energy and your natural vibration and are opening yourself up to all this stuff, more things you start tuning into those frequencies, just like you tune a radio. A lot of people just have their radio set to, this station, and they only stay on that station. But when you start flipping through the channels, like learning about this stuff, it's like you start picking up on things and hearing stations that you wouldn't otherwise hear. So it could be all of the above. I don't know.
Have you ever had let's say a near-death experience, or
I have.
lightning strikes near you or anything like that maybe changed? So you have had a life. Okay.
Yeah, I have, yes.
Okay.
I have died, and I saw myself on in the hospital bed, and it was the most amazing feeling. It's hard to explain, but I was just going up towards the ceiling and felt nothing, no pain, no suffering, nothing. And then I somehow was just turning around, and I could see myself lying there. And then I somehow was able to see where my mom and my other family members were, in a different part of the hospital. And so I was basically checking on them while watching my body.
Wow.
And I saw the nurses, the doctors doing what they could to bring me back. And I just got to the ceiling, and I didn't see any bright light or anything. I don't know if any of that, but then when they brought me back, I jolted back in my body, and I felt this just, jolting sensation. And then I was back here. So
Now, well, the reason I ask is a lot of these Bigfoot shows and haunting shows.
Yep.
A lot of people have talked about having near-death experiences, and I'm really finding it crazy how many people have been not necessarily directly struck by lightning, but maybe it's hit the ground near them and they felt it. But maybe that's something that's also changed your electrical, your system in your body, that you can become, what do they call, more sensitive to things. Yeah, I don't know. I just was curious to see. I know my wife, like you, she died in a car wreck and was brought back to life. And she had the ability to see these shadow people in our house that, it wasn't an old house at all. It was fairly new. So we've been trying to study that one, the shadow people thing, and the Hat Man, because she saw a man in a fedora type hat. So it's always been something that's interested me in the life, near death experiences and the lightning stuff. And there's a lot of people in the cryptid community that have had, near lightning strikes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I thought maybe that would be something,
I almost drowned.
So yeah, if you've almost drowned, you've had a near death experience. Wow. Cool.
I fortunately haven't had anything like that, but you mentioned the man in the hat, and that's actually something that is a reoccurring theme, it seems like. And another phenomenon that's just interesting, in the world of the paranormal. But like a lot of people seem to know the man in the hat. And when we were out in Sutton, again, I mentioned that place, you have to be careful because it seems like it's a central point of a lot of energy, good or bad. But there's a bad energy there. And when Eric was there, because he is more sensitive to this stuff, he tends to see more of these kind of things and experience more of them. And he's a target a lot of times for these bad things that know that you're trying to do good. I don't like you messing with my territory, basically. So he had a sleep paralysis episode while we were out there, and saw the man in the hat the first time we were out there. And the second time we were out there, I don't want to speak too much on his behalf because it's still a personal experience and something that's kind of recent, but he basically was attacked by that, while we were out there for the Flatwoods Monster Convention about a month ago. And he was in the room by himself, got an episode where he was paralyzed, not necessarily asleep. He was just paralyzed, couldn't do anything.
Damn.
And he was being levitated out of the bed. And I think it was in response to Man in the Hat showed up to kind of say, like, I'm here. I'm letting you know I'm here. And that day, a lot of stuff happened, by the way, that was just like, there was a general energy in the air of like, there's a lot of mediums and clairvoyants that go to that convention. It's a smaller convention, but there's still quite a lot of people who are sensitive to that. And all of them kind of had the sense of like that everyone's like on edge today. Like people don't want to talk to each other. And like there are vendors who are trying to sell stuff and they seem like they don't want to talk to you. Like it felt off. And then he had that experience, and we talked to another very, gifted person that he actually picked up on her energy. Was like, she's too much for me right now. Like she's just got such a strong energy. I need to go sleep. And that's why he went to go lay down. But she had a very similar experience seeing an entity like that, shadowy figure, and it actually tried possessing her car and crashing her into an oncoming semi on the highway as she was trying to get away from this thing.
Not far from that.
Like she was like foot on the brake, and then the gas pedal by itself like went down, and the wheel turned towards a oncoming semi that was coming down the exit ramp. And she was like, I need like to get out of this town.
I think I'd be bailing out of my car at that point, walking.
Yeah. She was like, she got on the highway and then like couldn't find a way of getting off. Like there was no like medians. And she's like, I know this highway so well. I know that there's medians here, but I can't find the medians. They're just like, so that happened. And then the main speaker of that was supposed to speak that day, he was like the original investigator of the Flatwoods Monster event. Like he was the keynote speaker. He had a emergency happen where he cut his hand, and almost like freak accident. Like the windowsill he was like leaning up on had a loose piece of marble that the hotel didn't glue down and fix. So this razor sharp piece of marble came undone and sliced his hand. And to the point where I was told that his finger was hanging on by skin.
And then to do emergency surgery.
And he couldn't do his talk that day. So it's like the whole day was like something is messing with people to try and like get in the way of things. And that's why I'm like, yeah, if anyone wants to go out there, just know that like you need to be ready and careful, because it's a very interesting area, but it's interesting for a reason.
Well, we had an experience, one of the meet and greets at the Hollins Hunt Camp down in Alabama, the Talladega National Forest. It was 2 years ago, I believe, 2 years ago, whatever, 2 years. And one of the ladies, part of it, she was in chat, Misty. She felt like something really bad was going to happen and didn't want to have it. She's part of the Woodwalkers group and didn't want to have it. My wife and I headed down on a Thursday, and our alternator went out on our SUV. A few people that were there had to go to the hospital afterwards. So it was just like a lot of things. And she might've been right. Maybe we weren't supposed to have it then. I don't know, but she had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. And that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that you guys had going on that weekend.
Yeah.
When that happened.
Yeah. Brother Gary, who's in chat, had to go to the hospital. Yeah.
We're trying to get like organize like how we want to do this next episode, but we're going to talk about a lot of the things we experienced out there, and it's probably going to be an area that we'll continue to visit at times. Like we want to go back and I mentioned the alien thing, like the guy who had the alien encounter, like they're and the Bigfoot stuff in that area. But he's invited us to like bring us up to his mountain and take a look at the place, and
Awesome.
you know, so maybe that's how we have our alien encounter. I don't know.
Well, I'm interested to see what you guys get from that guy in Maryland that thinks he's got him.
Oh yeah, that's actually, so what his deal is he has a piece of property outside the Baltimore area, like not right outside Baltimore, but like up in that part of Maryland, like halfway between the border and Baltimore, and
so he's obviously not far from us then.
Not super far, but he's in a smaller town. I think he's got a few acres of woods, or a few acres around, like 2 or 3 acres. But he said he was coming home late a lot because he works like graveyard shifts. So he comes home like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But he was trying to build like a little mountain bike track or something in his backyard, and so he's out there like chopping wood and stuff and like doing that kind of work in the middle of the night.
I don't suggest that, because I've had things happen over here doing that kind of stuff. I don't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so he started questioning things when he was sitting in an open patch, nothing above him, like trees are cleared around him. He's saying they're taking a break, and a rock or something comes flying out and like hits him. Like, he's like, where'd that come from? Like, where'd this pebble come from? Like, he's getting the classic like little pebble throws where like, trying to annoy you and get your attention. And he's heard knocks and heard just calls out there. And I'm like, yeah, you need to get a recorder set up, and let me know if you keep getting stuff. So we might, I might ask him if he wants us to come out sometime and just stay the night and see what happens. But
that would definitely be cool.
Well, I'm not that far away, so you can put him in touch with me if he needs anything, since I'm right up here.
I'm gonna ask anybody in chat if they have any particular questions they would like to ask them.
There's actually a few guys not far from me that have the same thing. They work nights and they come home, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and hear stuff. And I've been over there a few times because I actually we trade cows sometimes back and forth buying stuff, but he's heard screams and stuff over there behind his place, and had something try ripping the side of his chicken house off, which I thought was strange because, I've seen plenty of things get into a chicken house, but this thing was like, whatever it was pulling. It was like an old shed he had him in, and it was like yanking pieces of the paneling off the outside of the chicken house. And I'm like, well, that's not from a bear, because I've seen plenty of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they seem to really like chickens, like these cryptids.
It's the easiest farm animal you can catch.
Yeah.
Just wait till it gets dark and go out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this Jeff asking this from Old Line Cryptids?
That's
Jerry.
Oh, Jerry, sorry. Elizabeth coming on. So, ladies for the ghost show coming up soon.
Yeah,
what's that about?
We've got a ladies ghost show coming up. If you want to come on that one, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Yeah, keep us posted on it. She might be into that.
Yeah, it'll be nice. My wife's like, I only have one story to tell. I'm like, who cares? It's a story. I think she has more than one, but I think she'd love having it. It'd be fun having the ladies on there discussing it, and I'm sure there'd be a lot of funny stuff too. And
I've had a ghost encounter myself. So
there you go. So
face to face in my bedroom. So
yep. So that'll be perfect. Don't tell it now.
Yeah.
Don't tell it now.
I'm not. That's all I'm saying.
Well, hey guys, we've had you for over 2 hours now. So I love it. I could sit and talk with you guys probably another 2 hours, to be honest with you. But I know some of us I don't have to go to bed, but there's a lot of people here that probably need to go to bed. And probably you guys have been on here 2 hours. Goodness. Maybe we can get you back here for a part 2 somewhere down the road, get you guys back and let you get out a little bit more and find some more stuff. And
I'm sure we'll have more to talk about.
Yeah, we
I'm
would
sure.
love that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're the same. We can talk about this stuff forever. Yeah, we'd be happy to come on again. It's been great being here, and thanks for all the people in chat watching.
Yes, thank you.
It's been great. So good talks.
Good.
And yeah, we'll try and get some more stuff in the pipeline here. Definitely, if you can, check out our channel and
Please, yeah.
check out our videos. I try to, I'm the one doing a lot of the filming and editing. We're all working on it together. But my goal is to really make good content, and that's one reason why I made our group. Is you see, like, a lot of what other people put out there, and it's just they just don't have the skills to really make it compelling and entertaining. I'm someone who comes from a background of, my day job is in marketing and multimedia and stuff. So I know filming and editing and all that stuff, and I do my own music and try to put all my creative skills into one passion project. So, I hope you guys enjoy the content if you check us out.
Awesome. Why don't you tell people where to find you too?
Yep. I'll put in chat too, just, our channel here. But mainly it's going to be YouTube research team. So I just put a message in chat there so you can find us on YouTube. We're also on Facebook. Do have an Instagram, but we haven't put a lot of short content out yet. If I do work on the shorts, it's probably going to be segments taken from the episodes. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I know I will
to seeing what you guys are going to come up with from around here upcoming. That's going to be interesting.
We'll definitely do, like, it's convenient for us to be in Maryland, obviously. Yeah. Like, we're from Maryland. That's why we've initially started out. Like, we want to, like, start at home and then spread out as we figure out what works for us as a group. But yeah, Maryland's obviously easy for us to do investigations. That doesn't take us long to take a car trip out to the woods. And,
and whenever you guys decide you want to go up to Green Ridge again, if you need an extra, if you need somebody else to ride along with you to show you where to go to the crazy spot, hell, I'll go out there and spend the night with you.
All right, that sounds good to us. We'll table that.
Yeah, I'll talk to Burkhart about talking to him. Because he's got the tracks from over Northeast. So, and he's got a ton of them.
Yeah, I'd love to see them. So, definitely put us in touch.
Like 4 different sizes.
Cool.
Which is awesome.
Well, hey guys, if you could hang around backstage for a little bit, we'll chit chat back there. But other than that, everybody, thanks for being here. We hope to see you next Tuesday. Jeff, who's the guest going to be?
I don't know yet.
Oh, come on, Jeff.
I'm the one that's in charge of all the bookings, it seems like, and sometimes I get things lined up in advance, and sometimes I just pull it out of a hat. I'm pretty good at doing that most of the time.
You do a good job, Jeff. You do a good job. But we'll see everybody next Tuesday. Thanks for being here. Please check out their channel. I've been there. I'm going to start. I think I've already subscribed now. So we'll check it out, and everybody have a great night. Let me do the outro here.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Bye.